The phone rang 22 times in 1 hour. I know because my daughter counted. She thought it was a game. I was 300 miles from home, sitting on a beach blanket on Tybee Island, watching my son dig a hole to China with a plastic shovel. My mother was calling from a resort parking lot in Hilton Head. My sister was standing next to her, yelling at a front desk clerk who could not give them a room they had not paid for. But I did not know that yet. All I knew was the sound of the ocean, the sand under my feet, and the quiet, strange feeling that for the first time in 4 years, I had chosen my kids over my family's demands. That first call, and the 21 after it, were not the beginning. They were the ending. I'm Megan, 33 years old, a bookkeeper in a small town outside Atlanta. This is the story of how my sister talked my mother into cutting me and my children out of the family beach trip, and what happened when they tried to pay for that trip with money that was already gone. If you have ever been the one who paid for everything and still got treated like you owed more, you already know how this kind of story feels. I worked for Dr. Bennett at a veterinary clinic on Route 9, just past the Chevron station. I made $47,000 a year. Not exciting. Not awful. I handled the bills, payroll, supply orders, medicine counts, and all the little number problems that kept the clinic running. I was good at it. Numbers are clean. Numbers do not lie. Numbers do not borrow money and forget to pay it back. Numbers do not try to make you feel guilty at Thanksgiving. My apartment was 12 minutes from the clinic, 14 minutes from Sophie's elementary school, and about 20 from Oliver's preschool if I caught the light on Magnolia. Sophie was 8. Oliver was 5. Their father left when Oliver was 6 months old, and that is all I will say about him, because he is not part of this story. Every morning, I got up at 5:30. I packed 2 lunches. Peanut butter and honey for Sophie. Turkey and cheese for Oliver because he hated anything with seeds and would gag if he even saw them. I did school drop-off, drove to work, picked them up from aftercare at 5:15, got us home by 5:40, made dinner, handled baths, read books, tucked them in, and did it all again the next day. I kept a budget sheet with 14 columns. I clipped coupons. I bought gas on Tuesdays because the Shell station had a 6-cent discount. Every month, I put $150 into a travel savings account and acted like it did not exist. I was good with money because I had to be. But in my family, being good with money was not treated like a strength. It was treated like a resource other people could reach for. People do not get mad at you for being broke. They get mad at you for being careful. For saying no. For having savings when they do not. For refusing to let their emergency become your problem every single time. My father understood that. He was the only one who did. For years earlier, my father sat in a hospital bed at Grady Memorial with tubes in his arms and one kidney that had simply given up. His name was Harold Turner. He was a plumber. He had spent 40 years under houses, in crawl spaces, behind walls, threading pipes with hands that always looked scraped raw. He was 62, but in that hospital bed he looked 80. His hands were rough as roof shingles. He had built bathrooms and fixed leaks all over our county. He was the kind of man who showed up early, finished what he started, and never sent a late bill. I was 29 then. My sister, Courtney, was 34. We stood on opposite sides of his bed like 2 bookends from different sets. He looked at me, not her. "Megan," he said, his voice dry but steady, "I need you to handle things." I knew what he meant before he said more. The bills. The life insurance. Mom's house. Her medicine. The money. All of it. He reached under his pillow and pulled out a thick manila envelope. He had asked a nurse to bring it in from his truck. Inside was the life insurance policy, Mom's bank login, and a handwritten list of every monthly bill. Water. Power. Insurance. Gas. Medicine. "Keep the lights on for your mama," he said. "That's all I'm asking." I took the envelope. My hands were shaking. His were not. Courtney stood by the window and watched. She said nothing in that room. She waited until we were in the elevator. The doors closed. The silence got heavy. Then she pulled out her phone, typed fast, and my pocket buzzed. I did not read the message until I got to the parking garage. It said, "Dad always liked you better. Enjoy your little promotion." I sat in my car for 20 minutes after that. The pain was not a surprise. Courtney had been keeping score with me our whole lives. But what stung was this: Dad had asked me, not her, and we both knew why. Courtney had bounced checks to the electric company 3 times in 1 year. She had borrowed $2,000 from Dad's retirement money and never paid it back. He loved her. Of course he loved her. He just did not trust her with a checkbook. Dad died 3 months later, on a Tuesday in October. It rained so hard that day the gutters overflowed outside the funeral home. The life insurance paid out $85,000. I sat at my kitchen table with a calculator, a legal pad, and a knot in my throat, and I did exactly what he asked me to do. Hospital debt, $31,000. Roof repair on Mom's house where a leak had ruined the bathroom floor, $8,000. A new water heater because the old one was held together by duct tape and prayer, $2,400. After all of that, there was $23,600 left. I put $22,000 into a savings account in my mother's name. Emergency money. Untouchable. The rest went to the funeral flowers and the reception food because Courtney had promised to handle the catering and then, like always, did not. After that, I set up a $300 transfer from my checking account to Mom's account every month. First day of the month. Like rent. Except I was not renting anything. I was covering the gap between what Social Security gave her and what life cost. She got $1,400 a month. Her house was paid off, but medicine was not. Groceries were not. Utilities were not. Courtney gave nothing. "I have my own family to worry about," she liked to say. She had a husband, 2 kids, a big house with a pool, and a leased Lexus. Her family seemed to survive just fine. But Courtney did have one thing I did not. Leverage. She had Ava and Lucas. My mother adored those 2 younger grandchildren, and Courtney knew exactly how to use that. "If you keep inviting Megan on weekends, I won't bring the kids around." She said it so calmly, like she was talking about rain. After that, Mom stopped inviting me on weekends. I found out because Sophie asked one Wednesday why Grandma only wanted to see us in the middle of the week now. I did not have a good answer. So I changed our routine, smiled when I had to, and kept sending the $300. Every summer since I was 9, the Turner family had gone to the beach. Jekyll Island, Georgia. Same stretch of sand. Same little rental cabins with screened porches and sticky floors. Same smell of sunscreen and salt. Dad would wake up before sunrise and load the cooler. Mom packed enough lotion and snacks for an army. Courtney and I would fight over the front seat, then fall asleep against opposite windows before we got halfway there. It was the one week of the year when nobody argued about money. Dad paid for everything. When Dad died, that tradition should have died too. But I could not let it. Sophie loved tide pools. Oliver was born in August, and his first beach trip had been when he was 10 months old. He sat in the sand, ate a handful of it, made a face, and then laughed like he had found treasure. So I kept the trip alive. I booked the rooms. I made the grocery list. I packed the car. And I paid. The summer before all this happened, I booked 2 rooms at the Ocean Breeze Cottages on Jekyll Island. 4 nights. Total cost, $2,200. I paid $1,800. Courtney sent me $400 2 months late after I reminded her 3 times. Mom paid nothing. I told myself it was fine. I told myself it was for the kids. That is what people say when they are carrying everyone else and trying not to admit it. My travel savings account had grown to $2,600 by spring. It was separate from my checking. Clean. Quiet. Meant for one thing only. Last summer, that money gave my children a beach memory. This summer, my sister had another idea. 3 months before summer, on a gray Thursday in March, Courtney's ex-husband, Scott Parker, stood in her driveway for the kid handoff. He was 40, drove a black F-150 with a cracked taillight, and sold commercial flooring. He and Courtney had been divorced for 2 years, but they still fought like they were married. Ava climbed out of his truck first. Lucas followed, dragging his backpack on the concrete. Scott leaned against the truck bed and said, like he had been waiting all day to say it, "You know Megan turned me down for that $5,000, right?" He had asked me the year before for a $5,000 loan to start a side business installing luxury vinyl floors in new builds. I had said no. Once. Clearly. Politely. He never forgot it. Courtney folded her arms. "She turned you down because she's cheap. She always has been." Scott looked at the house. Then at her. "Your mom still has Megan's bank card, right?" Courtney did not answer right away. "So book the trip," he said. "Use the card. Megan owes this family after sitting on your dad's money all these years like it belongs to her." Courtney paused. Later, I heard it was 3 full seconds. That was all the conscience she had left. "She does owe us," she said. Scott smiled, got in his truck, and drove away. That same evening, I was helping Sophie with multiplication at the kitchen table. I had no idea any of this was happening. I would not know for weeks. But the plan had already started. And my name was already tied to it. Ava's 10th birthday came in April. Mom hosted it at her house. The dogwoods were blooming, and she had hung a glitter sign across the porch that said "Happy Birthday, AVA." I brought 2 dozen cupcakes from the bakery on Elm. Chocolate cake, vanilla frosting. Ava's favorite since she was 6. Sophie carried the box. Oliver carried a gift bag with a watercolor set inside. For the first hour, the party was normal. Kids in the yard. Mom grilling hot dogs. Carol Harris from church on the porch swing with sweet tea, watching everything the way church ladies do when they already know more than you think. Then Courtney pulled me into the kitchen. She left the door half open and leaned against the counter with her arms crossed. That posture always meant one thing. She had already decided something, and now she was here to announce it. "I need to tell you something about the summer trip," she said. I waited. "We're going to Hilton Head this year. Me, Mom, and the kids." I still said nothing. "Your kids aren't coming. My kids don't want them there." The words landed hard and flat. Not because I believed them. Because she said them so easily. I looked past her into the living room. My mother was standing near the couch. She was holding a debit card between 2 fingers. My debit card. The emergency card I had left with her 2 years earlier for groceries, gas, or a doctor visit if something happened. "Why do you have my card, Mom?" Mom looked at Courtney. Then at me. Courtney said she needed it for the booking. Carol was still sitting on the porch swing. She could not hear every word, but she saw enough. She saw my sister's face. She saw my mother holding that card. She saw the second I understood what was happening. I nodded once. "Keep it," I said. Then I called my children, picked up the cupcake box, and walked out. The drive home was 14 minutes. Sophie sat quietly behind me. Oliver hummed some cartoon song under his breath. 2 blocks from the apartment, Sophie asked, "Why did we leave early?" I looked at her in the mirror. 8 years old. Her father's brown eyes. My stubborn chin. "Sometimes adults need space, baby." She nodded and accepted it. Kids do that. They take the answer you give them, fold it up, and put it away somewhere inside themselves. Then one day, years later, they unfold it again. I got them inside, started a movie, and went into my bedroom with my phone. A month earlier, I had noticed a $400 withdrawal from my checking account. I called Mom. She told me she had used the wrong card at the pharmacy. "I'll pay you back." I wanted to believe that. But something about her voice stayed with me. So I checked again. There had been other charges too. $80 at a gas station. $120 at Target. $65 at a restaurant I had never been to. 2 weeks before Ava's party, I had called the bank and asked to remove Mom as an authorized user. They told me both people had to be present, or I needed a notarized request. 7 to 10 business days. I did not have 7 to 10 days of patience left. So the next morning, I drove to another credit union across town, the one on Peachtree near the tire shop. I opened a brand new checking account and a brand new savings account. I moved every dollar. $2,600 from savings. $1,400 from checking. The old account stayed open with $12.34 inside. $12.34. And a debit card sitting in my mother's purse. I told nobody. Here's something I learned the hard way. When someone holds your bank card like they own it, they are not protecting you. They are keeping a hand on you. If you have ever had to move your money before you could move on, you know exactly what I mean. 2 weeks later, we had Sunday dinner at Mom's. Fried chicken. Canned green beans. Rolls from a tube. Courtney was in the kind of mood that glowed. The kind that said she had gotten what she wanted and was waiting for someone to notice. Before we even cleared the plates, she pulled out her phone. "Look at this." She turned the screen toward Mom. Hilton Head. White balconies. A pool so blue it looked fake. Palm trees. A seafood buffet. A dolphin tour. Kids club. 2 ocean view rooms. 4 nights. Total cost, $3,200. Mom smiled. "That looks beautiful, honey." Courtney set the phone down and looked at me with a little smile that was not kind and not even hiding that it was not kind. "You can't afford it anyway." She gave a sharp little laugh through her nose. Oliver looked up from his mashed potatoes. "Are we going to the beach too, Mommy?" The whole table went quiet. Sophie stared at her plate. Mom looked at her hands. Courtney sipped her tea like she had not just thrown a knife across the table. "We'll have our own adventure, buddy," I said. I squeezed Oliver's shoulder. He nodded and went back to eating. I did not give Courtney the fight she wanted. I washed the dishes. Dried them. Stacked them in the cabinet the way Mom liked. Big plates below. Small plates on top. Then I took my children home. At a red light on Sycamore, I picked up my phone and searched, "family beach trip near Savannah." That night, after the kids were asleep, I sat at my kitchen table with a cold cup of coffee and my laptop. Tybee Island was 20 minutes east of Savannah. I had never gone there before, but the photos looked honest. Not fancy. Not flashy. Just water, sky, weathered porches, and beach grass. The kind of place Dad would have liked. I found a room at the Tybee Island Inn for the last week of June. Ocean view, which really meant you could see a little strip of blue between 2 buildings, but that was enough for me. $89 a night. 4 nights. $356 total. I grabbed a legal pad and did what I always did. I ran the numbers line by line. Room, 356. Gas, about 200. Food for 4 days if we cooked most meals, 300. A few treats. Ice cream. Maybe kayaks. Maybe dolphins if Oliver begged, 150. Total, $1,006. My new account had $2,600. I booked it. The confirmation email came in 12 seconds later. I took a screenshot and saved it in a folder on my phone called Summer. Then I wrote one word on a sticky note and put it on the fridge. Beach. No date. No place. No details. I knew how fast information traveled in my family. The next morning, Sophie found the note while I was pouring cereal. Beach? Are we going? I smiled for real for the first time in weeks. It's a surprise. I did not learn the full shape of Courtney's plan until much later, after everything fell apart. People talk. Scott told a friend at the gym. That friend's wife worked at the church office with Carol. Carol told me 2 months later while we sat on her porch drinking lemonade. This is what happened behind my back. Courtney booked the oceanfront Palmetto Suites in early April. 2 connecting rooms. Total cost, $3,200. She put $800 on her own credit card as a deposit. The last $2,400 was due 3 days before check-in. She never planned to pay it herself. Megan's card will cover the rest, she told Mom on the phone. She owes us for all the years she's acted like Dad's money was hers. Mom hesitated. I can hear that pause even now. The little silence she always used when she wanted to disagree but did not want the fight. Are you sure that's right? She asked. Courtney's voice stayed smooth. She left the card with you. That's permission. No. It was not. Leaving an emergency card with your mother is not permission for a stolen vacation. But Courtney had already decided what the card meant. And Mom had already decided not to stop her. That night, Scott texted Courtney, "Smart move. She'll never know until it's done." Courtney sent back a thumbs up. Meanwhile, May got busy at the clinic. Allergy season. Every dog in the county was scratching itself bald. Dr. Bennett moved from one exam room to another like she ran on pure patience. I liked busy days. Busy days moved fast. Busy days left less room to think. One afternoon, while I was fixing a stack of supply invoices, Dr. Bennett stopped in my doorway. "You seem lighter lately," she said. I looked up. "Just looking forward to summer." She nodded and went back to room 2. Lighter. That was the right word. It felt like I had finally set down a suitcase I had been carrying so long I forgot it was heavy. Then one afternoon, on the drive home, Sophie got quiet. That is how I knew something was wrong. Sophie got quiet the way a lake goes still before a storm. Finally, she said, "Cousin Ava said we can't go on the trip because we're not real family." I stopped at the sign on Oak Street and held the brake a little too long. Who told Ava that? She picked at her backpack strap. Aunt Courtney. My hands tightened on the wheel. 3 seconds. Just like that pause in Courtney's driveway. 3 long seconds. Then I said, "Sophie, you are my family. The realest family I know. And we are going on our own trip." Oliver's head popped up from the back seat. "With dolphins?" I looked at him in the mirror. Maybe with dolphins. What Courtney had done to me was one thing. What she put in my daughter's head was something else. That was the line. You cross that line, and polite is over. That night, after stories and toothbrushes and Oliver asking for water twice, I sat on the couch and opened my banking app. There was the monthly transfer to Mom. $300. First day of every month. For 4 years. Almost $14,400. I had paid for medicine, lights, groceries, and all the soft places life hurts when you are old and alone. And while I was doing that, Courtney was driving her Lexus, using Mom's fear, and telling my daughter she was not real family. I pressed cancel. A little window popped up. "Are you sure?" I pressed confirm. My hands were steady. Mom had $1,400 a month from Social Security. She had the $22,000 I had protected for her from Dad's life insurance. She was not rich, but she was safe. Courtney lived 10 minutes away. Courtney could finally carry some weight. I sent Mom a short email. "Mom, I've changed my budget. The monthly transfer won't continue. I love you. I sent it at 9:12 p.m. She called at 9:14. What am I supposed to do? She asked. Her voice had that old mix of confusion and blame. You have savings, Mom. And Courtney lives 10 minutes away. Courtney has her own bills. So do I. Silence. Then, I can't believe you do this to me. I'm not doing anything to you, Mom. I'm just not doing it for you anymore. She hung up. 20 minutes later, Courtney texted me, what did you do? Mom is crying. I read it. Set the phone down. Washed the dishes. Folded a load of towels. Went to bed. And slept better than I had in months. A week before the trip, I pulled summer clothes out of the hall closet. Sophie had outgrown last year's shorts. Oliver's swim trunks still fit, barely. While I was reaching for a box on the top shelf, I found an old shoebox with Dad's Red Wing logo on the side. Inside was his union card, a faded picture of him and Mom at Jekyll Island in 1988, a hardware receipt, and a white envelope with my name on it in his blocky work order handwriting. Megan. He had tucked it into the hospital papers years earlier. I had forgotten it. I sat on the closet floor and opened it. One page. College-ruled paper. Half filled. It said, Megan, you are the one who keeps your word. Don't let anybody turn your kindness into a key to your wallet. If helping them starts hurting you, stop. You already kept the lights on long enough. Take your babies to the beach. Love, Dad. 7 simple sentences. No sermon. No guilt. Just truth. I folded the note and slipped it behind my driver's license in my wallet so I would feel it every time I reached for a card. Then I sat there in the dusty closet for a minute, breathing in old leather and cardboard, and let myself feel the shape of it. He had seen this coming. Not this exact day. Not this exact fight. But he had known me. And he had known them. After that, I got up and started packing. Tuesday night at Walmart, I put Oliver in the cart and Sophie walked beside me pretending she was too grown to enjoy any of it. We headed for the summer aisle. I had a swimsuit budget, $40. Oliver found shark goggles immediately. Gray rubber. Fake teeth around the lenses. $5.97. Done. Sophie took longer. She held up a pink one-piece with little starfish straps. This one? $14. I checked the seams. Good enough. That one. We added flip-flops, spray sunscreen, and a mesh beach bag from the clearance bin. Total, $34.97. Under budget by just over $5. At home, I packed everything into a duffel and slid it into the back of the closet behind the winter coats. Not hidden exactly. Just not obvious. My family had a habit of showing up without warning. Mom with a casserole. Courtney with a request dressed up like a need. I did not want questions. As I zipped the bag, Courtney's words came back clear as glass. Your kids aren't coming. My kids don't want them there. I stood very still and let that sentence settle where it belonged. Not as truth. As cruelty. From the bathroom, I heard Sophie laughing. She had found Oliver's shark goggles and was making faces in the mirror while he tried to grab them back. I smiled. My kids were coming. Just not where Courtney thought. 1 week before check-in, the family group text was still active. Me, Courtney, and Mom. Courtney had not bothered to remove me. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she wanted me to watch. During lunch at work, my phone buzzed. A photo. The resort pool at night, glowing blue-green like a movie set. Another photo. The view from a balcony. Another. A seafood place with white tablecloths and appetizers that started at $28. Then a message. Mom, I booked the seafood dinner cruise too. $480. It'll go on the same card. The same card. My old card. I read that message twice. Then I opened my banking app and checked the balance on the old account. $12.34. Still there. Still waiting. Courtney was about to charge a $480 dinner cruise to an account that could not cover lunch for two. I closed the app and took a bite of my sandwich. Turkey on wheat. Same as every Tuesday. I did not answer the group text. I did not warn her. Some people only believe a lesson once it hits their wallet. Friday evening, Scott picked up Ava and Lucas. Ava ran to the truck before it fully stopped. "Daddy, we're going to Hilton Head." Scott grinned and lifted her up for 1 second before setting her back down. "Looks like your mom's got it all figured out." Once the kids had gone inside to get their overnight bags, Scott stayed on the porch. "You sure Megan's card has enough?" he asked. Courtney did not blink. "She puts money in every month. There's at least $2,000 in there." "And your mom still has the card?" Courtney nodded. "Then it's already paid for," he said, smiling like theft was some kind of talent. The kids came back out. He loaded them in and drove away. Later, I heard one detail from a cookout story that stayed with me. After Scott left, Courtney sat at her kitchen counter and pulled up my contact. My photo was me and Sophie laughing on Jekyll Island 2 years earlier, both of us sandy and sunburned and happy. Courtney's thumb hovered over the call button. 5 seconds. Then she set the phone down. She could have called me. She could have asked. She could have told the truth. She did not. 3 days before check-in, the resort ran the remaining charge at 10 a.m. $2,400. Declined. Insufficient funds. The resort sent Courtney an email. Payment declined. Please update your method of payment within 48 hours or your reservation will be cancelled. Deposit is non-refundable. Courtney called Mom at 10:16. Megan's card was declined. Mom sounded confused. "The card is right here." "Go check it at the ATM," Courtney snapped. So Mom drove to the bank. Parked crooked. Walked inside. Put the card in. Checked the balance. $12.34. She called Courtney from the lobby. "There's only $12. A pause. Then Courtney said, "That's impossible." "Well, it's there." Another pause. Then Courtney said the words that showed she already knew the truth. "She moved it." And then she called me. I was at my desk entering a payment for a cat's dental cleaning when my phone lit up with Courtney's name. I pressed decline. Turned the phone face down. Finished the entry. She had spent months building a vacation on top of money that was never hers. Now the clock had started. 48 hours. What Courtney did next was the part one did not expect. She checked her credit card. Limit, $3,000. Balance, $1,800. Available, $1,200. She needed $2,400. She called Scott first. "Can you lend me $1,200? He laughed. Not a mean laugh. A surprised laugh. "I don't have that kind of money just sitting there. Ask your mom." So she asked Mom. Mom stared at the wall below Dad's portrait. "My savings are for emergencies." "This is an emergency," Courtney said. "It's a vacation," Mom answered. But she still went to the bank. She still took out $600 from the savings account I had built for her. She still drove it over in an envelope. Courtney scraped another $600 from what little room was left on her credit card. Now she was maxed out. She sent $1,200 to the resort. But $1,200 was not $2,400. She was still short another $1,200. The clock kept ticking. She called me again while I was giving Oliver a bath. Bubbles up to his chin. A rubber shark on the edge of the tub. My phone lighting up on the counter. Courtney. I watched it ring. I let it go. Then the text came. I know you moved your money. We need to talk. I read it. Set the phone down. Read Oliver 3 chapters from his shark book. He fell asleep before the whale page. The next evening, around 8:40, headlights swept across my living room curtains. A car door slammed. I knew before the knock. Courtney stood on my welcome mat in yoga pants and a wrinkled t-shirt. Mascara smudged under one eye. She looked tired, angry, and scared all at once. I opened the door but did not move aside. What did you do with the money? She asked it like I had stolen something from her. My money? I kept my voice calm. It's in my account. Just not the one you plan to use. Her chin jerked. Steal? Mom was an authorized user. That isn't stealing. Then why didn't you ask me? Silence. The porch light buzzed. A moth hit it twice. We need that money, she said. The kids are counting on it. Your kids, I said. Not mine. You made that very clear. She shifted her weight and looked past me into my apartment like she was deciding whether she could push through if she tried hard enough. Then her voice changed. Softer. Smoother. I'm sorry about what I said. Can you help? For Mom? I let the apology hang there. Thin. Weak. Too late. You told my daughter she wasn't real family, I said. We're done here. Then I shut the door and turned the lock. The click was loud. I watched through the window as Courtney stood there for 10 seconds. Then she kicked the welcome mat sideways and stormed back to her car. The next morning at 9:15, the clinic phone rang. Not my cell. The clinic line. Mom's landline number glowed on the screen. At a vet office, you answer the phone. It might be an emergency. So I picked it up. You can't ignore the clinic line, she said right away. No, I can't. What do you need, Mom? Can't you just put the money back for the family? I leaned back in my chair. Through the glass, Dr. Bennett was checking a tabby cat with an ear infection. Mom, you held my card like it was yours. You let Courtney plan this. That was Courtney's idea. I just went along. That's the problem, I said. You always just go along. I heard her start crying. I know my mother's crying. There is the real cry, small and cracked. And there is the performance cry, with neat little sniffs dropped in the right places. This was the performance cry. I waited. I did not jump in to fix it. Then she played her last card. Your father would be so disappointed in you. That should have broken me. It did not. Dad told me to stop when helping started hurting, I said. So I stopped. She hung up. I set the phone down, finished the invoices, fed the clinic cat at 3:30 like always, and went on with my day. After work, I stopped at Kroger for milk, bread, and bananas. In aisle 3, near the cereal, Carol Harris was comparing 2 oatmeal boxes. She looked up when my cart squeaked by. Megan. I stopped. I heard about the trip, she said. Mom told you? She asked me to talk to you. I told her no. Carol folded her arms, but not in a mean way. In a steady way. Like someone about to tell the truth. I was at Ava's birthday. I saw Courtney pull you into the kitchen. I saw your mother holding that card. You do not owe them anything. I stared at the cereal shelf. I know. Your daddy would say the same. That was all. No speech. No sermon. Just a woman who had known my father for 30 years and knew exactly what he would have thought. She squeezed my hand once, quick and firm, then picked the cheaper oatmeal and put it in her cart. Have a good summer, honey. I drove home with those words sitting warm in my chest. That night, after the kids were asleep, I packed the car. Cooler. Juice boxes. Grapes. Sandwiches in foil. String cheese. Towels. Sunscreen. Duffel bags. Oliver's shark goggles right on top where he would see them first. I checked the reservation again. Tybee Island Inn. Room 6. Ocean View. I saved the confirmation number on my phone and wrote it on a sticky note too because I do not trust technology when it matters. I texted Dr. Bennett that I was taking Friday off as planned. She wrote back, "Have the best time. You deserve it." I locked the door, poured a glass of lemonade, and sat on the porch steps. 4 missed calls from Courtney. 2 from Mom. I let them sit there on the screen. Tomorrow I would be driving south with my children, the windows down, and they're singing off-key to the radio. Tomorrow those missed calls would not matter. I touched my wallet. Dad's letter was inside. I did not need to read it again. I already knew every word. Meanwhile, 300 miles north, the disaster was driving toward them. Courtney's SUV pulled into the oceanfront Palmetto Suites parking lot after 4 hours on the road. Mom sat stiff in the passenger seat. Ava and Lucas pressed their faces to the windows, excited about the pool. Courtney marched into the lobby with sunglasses on her head and a suitcase rolling behind her. A young woman in a blue polo typed in the reservation. Then typed again. Then frowned. "I'm showing a remaining balance of $2,400, she said. A partial payment of $1,200 was received yesterday, but the full balance is required at check-in. You still owe $1,200. Courtney slid over her credit card like confidence might make it work. The clerk ran it. Declined. "I'm sorry, ma'am." Courtney stared at the card machine. Mom sat down in a chair and said, "To nobody and everybody, I don't have any more money." Ava walked up. "Mom, where's our room?" "Not now, Ava." Courtney grabbed Mom's arm and pulled her toward the hallway. "Call Megan," she hissed. Now. Back on Tybee Island, we had reached our room around noon. It was small and clean and smelled like lemon cleaner and ocean air. 2 beds. A tiny kitchenette. A screen door that led to a skinny porch. Oliver kicked off his shoes before I even finished unloading. Sophie was already wearing her starfish swimsuit with a towel over her shoulder, standing by the door like a tiny lifeguard. By 1 o'clock, we were on the beach. Sophie ran straight into the foam, laughing that pure kid laugh that makes the whole world sound better. Oliver dropped to his knees and began digging like he had a personal mission from the earth itself. I sat on the blanket and felt the sun on my arms. This, I thought. This is the trip. My phone rang at 2:15. Mom. I looked at the screen. Then at Sophie jumping over a wave. Then at Oliver squinting into the sand with his little shovel. I pressed decline. The phone rang again. And again. Oliver looked up, sand on his eyebrows. "Mommy, who keeps calling?" I pushed the phone to the bottom of the beach bag and turned the screen down. "Nobody important right now," I said. "Come on. Let's look for dolphins." He dropped the shovel and ran to the water. I went with him. The phone kept buzzing inside the bag. 22 calls in 1 hour. I did not answer one. Not because I was trying to punish them. Not because I was making a point. I was standing in the Atlantic Ocean with my son's hand in mine while he searched the waves for dolphins. That mattered more than anything happening in some resort parking lot. Back at the Palmetto Suites, every call went unanswered. And that is when Courtney fell apart. She turned on the front desk clerk like the girl had emptied the bank account herself. She did this on purpose. She moved the money because she's vindictive. Her voice echoed off the marble floor and high ceiling. The clerk stayed calm. "Ma'am, please lower your voice." Families in the lobby turned to watch. A man in a golf shirt moved his kids away. A woman with a rolling suitcase just stopped and stared. Ava stood beside a fake potted fern, crying in that quiet, Embarrassed way kids cry when they know their parent is making a scene and they cannot stop it. Lucas tugged on Mom's sleeve. "Grandma, I want to go." The manager came out in a navy blazer and asked them to step outside. So they did. All four of them. Into the heat. Into the parking lot. No room. No refund. Deposit gone. Credit card maxed out. Gas tank half full. The lot had fresh blacktop. The sun hit it hard. Heat shimmered above it. Mom lowered herself onto a concrete bench near the handicap spaces. She looked older than I had ever seen her. Inside her purse was the debit card connected to $12.34, a wallet that was now $600 lighter, and a phone showing call after call after call to me. "Who is paying for this?" she asked. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just tired. Courtney paced beside the SUV. Megan was supposed to. Megan didn't agree to pay, Mom said. Courtney spun toward her. "You said she'd never notice." Mom looked up. "I went along because you said you would stop bringing the kids to my house if I didn't." There it was. The truth. Not in church. Not at dinner. Not in some family meeting. In a hot parking lot in Hilton Head with the sound of somebody else's children laughing at the pool on the other side of the fence. Ava and Lucas sat in the back seat with the doors open. Mom had bought them crackers and a Gatorade at a gas station on the way in. Ava ate slowly. Lucas did not eat at all. "I want to go home," Ava said. Then Lucas looked at Mom and said, "I want Aunt Megan." Courtney whirled around. "Don't say her name." Lucas flinched. Mom closed her eyes. Nobody spoke for a full minute. The drive back to Georgia was 4 hours long. The first hour, nobody said a word. Just the highway. Just the cold air from the vents. Just the sound of Courtney's anger filling the car. Sometime near exit 109, Ava stopped playing a game on Mom's phone and opened Instagram. "Grandma," she said softly, turning the phone around. It was my photo. Sophie and Oliver kneeling beside a crooked sandcastle on Tybee Island. Oliver in his shark goggles. Sophie grinning with her hair full of salt and sand. Caption, "Beach day with my two favorites." Mom stared at the picture. Her grandchildren at the beach. Happy. Without her. She handed the phone back without a word. 40 minutes later, Lucas woke up and rubbed his eyes. "Mom, are Sophie and Oliver at the beach?" he asked. "Why couldn't we go with them?" The car went silent again. That question had come straight from Courtney's own cruelty and circled right back to her. Mom turned in her seat and asked in a tired, broken voice, "Courtney, what have we done?" Courtney gripped the wheel. "Don't start, Mom." Back on Tybee Island, the sky turned peach, then gold, then deep purple. Sophie fell asleep with her head in my lap, damp hair stuck to her cheek. Oliver was still 20 feet away, digging one last hole. This one, he told me, was a crab trap. No crab seemed interested. I pulled out my phone. 22 missed calls from Mom. 14 from Courtney. 3 voicemails. I listened to the first one. Mom's voice sounded cracked and rough. "Megan, the trip fell apart. We drove all the way here for nothing. The deposit is gone. Courtney is beside herself. Please call me back. Please." I listened to all 38 seconds. Then I put the phone back in the beach bag and zipped it shut. I did not call back. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I wanted them to suffer. Because there was nothing to say. Nothing they could explain would change what they had planned. Nothing I could say would fix what they had broken. Some conversations need time before they can happen honestly. And I was not ready yet. "Mommy." Oliver ran over with a shell in his fist. "I found one." He opened his hand. It was a broken sand dollar. Split clean down the middle. "Is it still good if it's broken?" he asked. I ran my thumb over the rough edge. The best ones usually are, buddy. He smiled and ran back to his crab trap. I looked out at the water. Dad's letter rested inside my wallet. Take your babies to the beach. I had. That night back in Georgia, Courtney sat alone in her kitchen with a glass of wine she could not afford and called Scott. Your brilliant plan cost me $800 and a vacation. Scott was quiet for a second. My plan? You booked a resort you couldn't afford. You told me to use her card. I suggested it. You did it. There's a difference. There is no difference. He paused again. Then said, flat and honest, is this really Megan's fault? And then he hung up. Courtney sat there with no room, no refund, no money left on her card, and nobody willing to take blame for her. On the fridge was a photo of all 4 kids from Jekyll Island 2 years earlier. Ava, Lucas, Sophie, Oliver. Sand on their legs. Sun in their eyes. All of them together. Courtney turned the photo face down. We came home on Sunday tan, tired, and happy. Monday morning, before I even clocked in, Oliver was telling Dr. Bennett about the dolphin he swore had come right beside the kayak. His hand showed a distance that changed every time he told it. Dr. Bennett listened like it was the most important story in the world. She was good that way. On Tuesday afternoon, Mom called while I sat in my car after work. This time, I answered. Can we talk? She asked quietly. I want to apologize. I turned the key back so the radio shut off. You can talk, Mom. I'm listening. I should not have let Courtney decide things. And the card. I didn't know she was going to charge that much. But you knew she was going to charge something. Silence. A crow landed on the dumpster across the parking lot and then flew away. Mom, I love you. But from now on, my money is my money. No shared accounts. No cards at your house. No emergency access. You want to see Sophie and Oliver, you are welcome. Any Sunday. But I am not paying for plans that do not include me. I heard her breathing on the other end. Not crying. Just taking it in. Okay, she said at last. Not happy. Not fighting. Just hearing me. Maybe for the first time. And Mom, I said, I'm not angry. I'm just done being the wallet. She let that sit. I understand, she said. I do not think she fully did. Understanding does not happen like a light switch. It happens slowly. Like water wearing a line through stone. We said goodbye. I went back inside, finished the month-end report, picked up my children at 5:15, and came home. Courtney did not call that week. Or the next. 2 weeks of silence. That silence told me more than any apology could have. One Wednesday, Mom mentioned, Courtney says she'll never forgive you for ruining the vacation. I was folding laundry with the phone on speaker. Oliver was lining up toy cars on the coffee table. She'll have to forgive herself first, I said. Mom had no answer for that. 3 weeks after Hilton Head, we all ended up at the town potluck at the community center. Paper plates. Folding tables. Pulled pork. Coleslaw. Too many casseroles. I walked in with Sophie, Oliver, and a bowl of potato salad. Courtney stood across the room near the desserts. We made eye contact. She looked away first. That was all. No big speech. No dramatic showdown. Life is not a courtroom. Sometimes justice looks like standing on opposite sides of a room, holding your peace, while the truth sits in the space between you. Ava broke away from Courtney's table and ran up to me. Aunt Megan, can Sophie come play sometime? She was only 10, and whatever poison Courtney had poured into her had not sunk deep enough to stay. Of course, sweetie, I said. Anytime. Ava grabbed Sophie's hand, and the two of them ran toward the playground. Courtney watched from across the room. She said nothing. She left before pie was served. I stayed. I ate potato salad. I talked to Carol about the leak at the clinic roof. I drove home. I gave Oliver a bath. I read Sophie 2 chapters. It was an ordinary night. And after everything, ordinary felt like peace. So this is what I know now. If someone needs your bank card to keep you in the family, then you were never really in the family. You were funding it. And that is where I will leave this. A letter from a plumber who knew exactly what his daughter was worth. 22 unanswered calls. A broken sand dollar that was still good enough. And 2 children at the beach, laughing in the place where they were always meant to be.